Super Sentai guns and Power Rangers. Um, I don't have many of them, but I really wanted to make a video on the few guns that I do have from Super Sentai and Power Rangers. Like, most notably, let me get my tripod right, there we go. Most notably, my Gabble Revolver is like one of my most notable guns. But recently, I have been working up on my gun collection or blaster and gun collection for Super Sentai and Power Rangers. I think I have like 2 guns from Power Rangers and the rest are all Japanese, which are from Super Sentai. So, I figured we make a video on that today. So, yeah, since I don't have many, I'm going to give off as many as a lot of history on the gun as possible, and I will be doing all of them in order, of course, because why the hell not? I don't have many, so let's just do them out of order. Actually, let's do it differently this time, but I will start off with the oldest, technically, out of all of these. And that's going to be from Power Rangers. So let's go ahead and jump straight into this. So with that being said, let's begin. So the first gun that I have here is this thing. This is the Aba laser from Bakuru Sentai Aba Ranger, but this is an American version of the thing. So this would be the Thundermax laser, or technically the Thundermax saber or blaster, but I call it the Thundermax laser. It's more of a fitting name in its gun form. This is an American version of the gun, and I have no idea who sold this, who made this. I look at the markings on the gun, and it claims it's made by a company, or was made by a company called Toy Quest in Los Angeles, in California. But I have never heard of this before. This is on a smaller scale than the actual Thundermax laser, because this is not the DX version, as it will be called in Japan. This is not the original, I guess, toy line. I don't know what this is, but it does make for a pretty good prop, which is what this is, because I don't know, much history about this. I bought this from a guy in Iowa, off of eBay for like $20. And it was damaged when I got here because he did say that there was something rattling in the thing. So I just opened it up, glued the grips, together up around the thing. But I hot glued the blade down. And it looked really good for a toy. But due to me having big hands, it doesn't really look like, it doesn't really fit my hand like that. But if I don't, have proper trigger discipline. I mean, I could hold it like this and make the grip look longer, but no, I don't want to do that. But this thing is really interesting. I really like this because I can make it into a prop, which is of course what I did. And I love how I did say I was going to give a little bit of history on every gun that I have, so let's do that. So the Thundermax laser, or the Aba laser, would be used by the Core 3 Rangers from Power Rangers Dino Thunder or Aba Ranger. This was used by their 6th Ranger, well, I guess, then enemy at the time of the show. For Power Rangers, it was Trent, which was the White Dino Ranger, and in Aba Ranger, it was a body killer, which was Mikoto Nakadai, or Dr. Nakadai. Which I think makes it the only Sentai, or the only 6th Ranger of a Sentai team to use a Core Rangers' weapon, sidearm. It will be really cool to see Buken Silver use the Servite Buster or something, which I don't know. Fun fact, but I'm still watching Bukendra right now, but I will get to that in a little bit. But this is the weapon for the Core 3 Rangers, and Abare Black, or what's his name, Asuka, or Tommy, Dino Thunder Black, from what I know, has never used this before. I don't think they have a reason to use it, but I don't know. But it's a really cool gun, really cool prop, and there's only one review on YouTube of this gun, and I thought it was bigger than what this was, but it's not. But as I said, dude, there's literally no information on this thing. So until then, this was of course released in 2004. I presume, which means that this gun is literally as old as me, which is about 21 years old. I turned 21 this year, so yeah, me and this gun are literally the same age, so yeah, and it's right here with me today. Alright, so let's move on to the next gun that we have here, which is probably my favorite gun that I have at the moment. And that is indeed the Servi Buster. Well, what I call the Servi Buster. I called it that ever since I've heard the gun. So that was been about maybe 8-9 years I've been saying it the wrong way. But this is a Servi Buster, or the Drive Defender from Go-Go Sentai Bukenger or Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. But this is a Japanese version of the Drive Defender. So if anybody has never had the Japanese version of this gun, this is what it looks like. And you can, if you were to look at this in person, I don't know how well it looks on camera, but in person, this thing looks really beat up, which makes sense because I bought this off of a guy from Japan who had said that his kids had played with this quite a lot, and all that kind of jazz. But I have been in love with this gun ever since I have gotten it. Because first off, recently I have gotten into a new Super Sentai series, with that being Bukenger. I think on like episode 20 something. I'm still in the process of watching it, and I love this gun. I don't know, dude. Something about the Servi Busters is really cool, and it can also transform into a sword. Now, there's a reason why the blade is not out. The blade is right here, this little stubby piece sticking out. The blade doesn't stick out for a reason. Because when I got this, the blade would flop out in gun mode, which is not supposed to be doing. So when I flip this, the blade doesn't come out. It still makes the sound effect for when you press the trigger, but it doesn't. The blade doesn't come out because, and even when it's in blade mode, the blade likes to flop around, which I presume means something's broken in here or something is loose or something like that. So what I did, I bought a hot glue gun and I glued the blade in place, and it just works just fine. This does have batteries in it. It works perfectly fine. And you can also tell that this little tube piece is broken here, which really sucks because this other one also looks like it wants to do that as well. Which I really hope it doesn't do that. The barrel, and the picture that I saw, the barrel, this little gold piece here, or mock gold piece here, wasn't there. So I don't know, it was just a picture he took of one that he sold a long time ago. I don't know, but the Servi Buster are the core 5 Bukenders' sidearms. They can turn it, they are in a gun, right here of course, and they can turn into a sword. And fun fact, but in the show, I think both in Operation Overdrive and Bukenger, they must have made like a good amount of props for this, because they have a version in like a show version, like on the show, where they can, you know, they transform like they do in the show, and they go like this, and the blade pops out, but it's not as long as the actual sword. And which is really cool. Like they do that quite a lot. But I don't think that they ever see them turn it back to the gun. I don't know. But I really like this thing. And yes, this thing does have lights and sounds, and the electronics work absolutely perfectly. And from what I know, Book and Silver does not use a Servi Buster ever. I don't think he's ever borrowed it, you know, in like a last resort kind of thing where he grabs, I don't know, Book and yells his Servi Buster and just blasts. I don't know. But it would be really cool to see him use that. Like, I love to see a lot of the 6th Rangers, for certain teams that have a 6th Ranger, to use, like, a Core Rangers as sidearm. Like, it would be really cool to see that shit. I don't know, it would just be cool. Like, something different. But it does have sound effects. Let me just turn around. The light is right here. So that turns on. I love that sound. Like, and the fun fact, there's actually a clean version of this, of the show version of the sound of the shooting sound, which I will be hopefully putting in this video, maybe in like a little skit that I'll do at the end of this later. I don't know. So I don't know if this is on the actual like gun. Maybe something's wrong with mine, but you can't rapid fire this thing. Like for the Galbo Revolver, for example, I'll just bring this out for a little example, if it'll turn on. Like you can do that with this, but with the Servi Buster, you can't do that. Like do that, like, I guess, moderate follow-up shots, but you can't rapid fire, which I don't think they ever do in a show either which way. And you, of course, do that. I like that. And what's also funny is that if you don't transform it in time, it does that, which is kind of funny. I don't know. It's a really cool gun, dude. I really, really love this. And also, oops. But fun fact, though, I actually, well, from pictures that I saw back in my childhood, I actually had the American version of the Servite Buster, which would be the Drive Defender. I actually had the American version of it. I don't know where that picture is, and I really hope I can find it at one point, but I swear to Christ, I saw it in the fucking floor of that picture, like, I had the Drive Defender, like, the American version of this, like, on the ground. I don't know what picture it was, because, I don't know, back then my mom bought me everything, because I was the only child at the time, so I had the American version of this, and I don't know, dude. I even asked my mom, like, what, a couple weeks ago, like, did I have I had the American version of this, didn't I? And, you know, of course, her not really knowing anything about Power Ranger toys, you know, she's like, I have no idea. I really hope I can find that picture one day, dude, of me playing around. I was like 3 years old when I had it, so yeah, but that is the Servite Buster, or if you are, you know, just a Power Rangers fan, the Drive Defender. So put that to the side, and I will keep that on for the time being. So let's move on to, we're going to do a little time jump to a certain thing. We're going to be moving on to the last American toy that I have. 1 second. Is this, I forgot this. So we're going to time jump a little bit, and we're going to move on to Dino Charge. Because I did say I wasn't going to do these in order, because I did say I was going to get those two out of the way, and I was going to continue with whatever I wanted to do. So here I have Mini Tira, if you're a Curiouser fan, but if you're strictly a Power Rangers Dino Charge fan, this is the T-Rex Supercharged Morpher. I bought this at a thrift store in my old city, which is not far from, it's like 30 minutes away from where I'm staying at now. I picked this up because it was in almost perfect condition, if not in perfect condition. But I don't know, something about my baby brother getting his hands on this at one point. There's a couple paint scuffs on Mini Tira. I don't have the Japanese version of him, which does kind of suck. I may get him one day, I don't know. But I also have the Dino Charge Morpher as well, which is the American version of the Galvo Revolver. One upside to this is that, you know, there's silver paint up here, like right here where those little line pieces are. Meanwhile, on the Japanese version, you know, on the Galvo Revolver, that's just gray. I don't know. I guess, you know, quality over like paint, like, you know, paint details, I guess. But yeah, this is the American version of the gun, and I have relatively big hands, so, you know, this is what it looks like in my hand. Of course, even with my pinky, my pinky sticks out from, like, the grip, which I kind of find to be really annoying. But the Dino Charge Morpher is used by the Core 5, hang on, wait, there we go. By the Core 5 Curiosers, no, wrong one. It's used by the Core 5 Dino Charge Rangers. And they all each have their own Dino Charger that they put into the gun and all that jazz and clothes and all that. But I don't have any Dino Chargers for this. Well, technically I don't. I only have one, which is in this. This is the T-Rex Supercharger, I think is what it's called. I don't really know what it's called. And of course on the back you have Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's really cool. And unlike the Judenchi, which are the Japanese versions of the Dino Chargers, these only flip twice. And I've shown these two off and majority of my other guns off in a video from like 2 years ago on me showing off all my Super Sentai morphers, but I'll do it again. This one has 4 sides to it, which is one of the upsides to the American versions of the Judenchi, which are the Dino Chargers. That's one upside to these. And sadly, I don't have batteries for any of these, like for this or the T-Rex Supercharged Morpher, I don't have batteries for them. Because LR44 batteries are just really hard to find, and that's what these things take. They're in like every fucking toy now. But That's really cool. It's kind of like an animation kind of thing, so I can get it up close to the camera. Let's see. Like that. If you do it fast enough, it just looks like an animation, which looks kind of cool. And I always have it in its charge state, so yeah. It's really cool. So, of course, like pretty much mini tier would not be able to do this, like, or the T-Rex supercharged morpher wouldn't be able to just be this if it didn't have that charger in his mouth. So you can of course turn it around, but usually I always have his mouth closed, because on this version you can actually have his mouth closed, because on the Japanese version, mini tier can't have his mouth closed, it can only stay open. I like to do this. I like to pull on his mouth when I turn. Then when I turn his head, so that way his jaw can come down, which I think looks really cool. And of course what you can do, open this up, and you can put these two together. My voice cracked. And I really do like this, dude. This is a really cool combination. Kind of reminds me of, like, I don't know, an AR with like a forward grip or something like that. Like, this right here. Like with like a forward grip. Now you can combine the Dino Charge Saber with the Dino Charge Morpher, but I don't have the Dino Charge Saber, because fun fact, I bought both of these at a thrift store, or a that store. And of course, you can detach them, and as with any Dino Charger, you can put it and I was about to say the Gobble Revolver and the Dino Charge Morpher. Now there's actually a funny thing with the Japanese version of this, but I don't have that battery. I have heard the sound effects for it though, but in here, this does nothing. It just makes an extra sound. Like, it doesn't have like any cool things or anything. So yeah, that is these two. As I said, I really wish I had batteries for these, but I don't. So we're going to put these things to the side. And of course, I forgot to give a little bit of facts about, this, but this is used by Dino Charge Red to get into his T-Rex, or his little power-up form, which is fucking carnival mode in Kyryushir. I don't know, it's really hard to explain, dude. I don't really watch the American, Power Rangers, the newer seasons anymore. I only watch the older seasons, so yeah. Let's move on to the next one that doesn't really have batteries in it, and that is indeed the Leon Laser. This is Japanese. This is not American, because there's a clear difference between the Japanese and the American versions. The Japanese version has this nice little silver mouthpiece, which of course the American version doesn't have. And this thing doesn't really fit in my hand well. You got a little blade, and fun fact, I don't really know much about Goseiger. I bought this was literally an impulse purchase. I bought this because I just kind of wanted it. I don't know. Which is also, of course, what drove me to buy this. No pun intended. And of course, it transforms into the sword. There are barely any reviews on the sword itself, which really kind of sucks. But I think I could probably get some batteries in here. So I try to get it to turn on, and it does nothing. Now, this thing works whenever it wants to work. I don't know why. But of course you can, and yeah, you have that. Still does nothing. Which really sucks, dude, because I really want to show off the sounds of this. That's the only song I can get out of it, though. So yeah, this thing just doesn't like to work. So I have a Japanese version of the Leon Laser, because I think in the US it's called the Robo Blaster. I don't know what the fuck it's called. But I have this, but at what cost, dude? Because I mean, the functionality, the transforming part, all works still. I can have this. I like to have this mostly in the sword because it looks kind of cool. I have this mainly in sword mode. But the functionality is cool, but the sound effects don't work, which really sucks. And that's what I get for steeping so low on this. But also at the same time, I don't have a lot of money to spend like $100 on something like this, especially on something that I don't even watch. Because I think I've only watched like 2 episodes of Goseiger before, and I never completed it. So that's that right there. So the next two are going to just be, it's going to be a 2-in-1 right here. And those are, of course, indeed going to be the Gobble Revolvers. I have 2 of them. So this is my first ever one right here. I got this back in Christmas of 2019, and it was probably the best Christmas gift I've ever been gifted. it looks really used because that was how it was with the seller, uh, or something like that. And it came with Gabutir and Steamero Judenchi. This one I bought off of eBay about maybe from 2019. So about 3 years later, I bought this off, or no, am I right? 2023 is when I got this, and it's around this time last year. So I've had this for about, or on that time. So I've had this gun for about 2 years because I think I bought it around like June 6th, 7th, 5th. I don't know when I bought it, but this is the more better looking gun revolver. It looks really good. It looks like that the guys or like the person, the seller, had painted this a little bit. I don't know, but it still looks really cool. The barrels, of course, painted in because I did that myself. I'm gonna do that with every gun revolver I get, which this will probably be the last one I'll get, because it was always my dream to have two. Because after I got this, I wanted another one because of the scene with Ian from Kyrgyzstan at the very end, like in the finale part of the show. He had two gun revolvers and he was, firing them off, dude. I've always wanted two of them ever since I got this one right here. This one still makes sounds. However, if anybody has ever seen my original video where I showed these two off, it does that. The jaw doesn't like to open, which, that's my bad. I remember I opened up the faceplate on this and kind of the insides of the gun to see how the sound effects actually work. I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me at the age of 16. But, well, yeah, 16, 15 years old. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I would open up the gun to see the insides. That's the thing I always had with things back then. But when I always put it back together, it was always fine. Up until I was doing a transforming thing, like a morphing sequence one night. I was practicing it, and I remember I hit it down hard. I hit it down like that. At least if I can. Since this one has a little bit more say, I was like that. I was doing it kind of like that, dude. And I remember I heard a loud snap from the inside. One side for the faceplate broke, and now I hot glued it down, and now it just remains as this, which pretty much just remains as a prop. I think I took the batteries out. And yeah, you can still put batteries in here, like Judenchi, which I have two right now. I have plenty more in the room, but these are the only ones I grabbed. It still works perfectly fine in terms of sound effects and functionality, but you have to have something to grab the Judenchi out with, because you can't just use your fingers unless your fingers really small. But this one definitely does have sound. So, of course, you have that, which sometimes I like to have an episode, and I think it's starting to get that way. When you press the tail piece. So you have that. And let's just do it. Oh my god. Let's go ahead and do a little brave in. So those are the batteries that I have. These aren't batteries that are used to transform in a show. These are Guardian Judenchi. If anybody doesn't know what those things are, it's pretty much Judenchi that the Kyrgyzers use to help themselves out. Like this one, you can multiply either yourself or other people or things. Where's Alamaris? And Alamaris, you can just pretty much shoot flames out of the gun revolver, kind of like a flamethrower. But yeah, and of course the gun revolver is used by the Core 5 Kyrgyzstan, and I think it was used by Kyrgy Gold at one point, but he wasn't transformed when he used it. It was to use an Igor Ranadon Judenchi, which that battery makes you pretty much laugh hysterically at whatever joke, or just, I think, laugh hysterically at whatever joke somebody says, even if it's bad. And I think Kyrgy Gold did use it, but he didn't use it to shoot anybody or use it in that way. he used it, you know, with the whole Judenchi thing. Like, it's from a movie. I know that. I think I've seen the movie before. You know, he did this, and then of course he spun the cylinder, did the thing. He said a little joke before he fired, and bam. I don't know. If anybody has seen the Kyoryuger Summer movie, may know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's that. This will forever be my all-time favorite Super Sentai Morpher. Like, in terms of a sidearm, like, you know, like, just strictly a sidearm, the Servite Buster is probably going to take that place. And also, I find out that, like, this is it's big for the size. I mean, this was made for children's hands, but this is, like big enough for me to hold. But when I hold the Galvolver, this is, like, you know, and people were saying this when the gun it came out back in 2013. Like, the gun just feels like a show prop. It's as heavy, like it's relatively has some heft to it, and it just looks exactly, because I'm pretty sure some of the molds were like the mold that's seen here was probably used in the show. The grip was a little different. You know, the grip is like slightly shorter because the grip was long as hell on the show prop. And also, I'm gonna do one more thing. On the Japanese version, there are 2 slots. On the American, there's only 1, which kind of sucks. You also, you don't have to do it twice. It's not, my Galvolver is just defective a little bit. Well, actually, the proper way you're supposed to do it is this, because that's how they do it in the show. So I think we should move on to our last gun that we have here, which is the Gertlinger. I do plan on getting more Super Sentai guns, and I'm not gonna like update it every time I get a new gun, like just show off every gun that I have. I'm not gonna update my little thing, because I do plan on getting the actual Abo Laser, like Japanese version, because American versions of the Thundermax Laser, or of the Abo Laser, which is the Thundermax Laser, like the actual blue versions are really hard to come by. Like, I've seen them going for like a lot of money on eBay, either that order from like a different country. They have the red or the crimson edition of the Thundermax Laser, which is kind of stupid. That's a lot easier to find, but I want the actual blue version, even if it does have that stupid Power Rangers logo in the middle. But anyways, the Gertlinger, this is like strictly a Japanese thing, only because Zenkaiger was never adapted and probably never will be adapted into a Power Ranger season. I would really love to see what this thing will look like in its American release. So this does not have any batteries on it. I took the batteries out of this, or I think replaced it in my Servite Buster. So I'm going to be using these batteries right here. Oh. Are these batteries dead, or did I put them in wrong? Because I know this thing still works. Ah, they're low. That's a little cool thing that the Gertlinger does. When it lets you know your batteries are low, the eyes up here for the lights, they flicker. They flicker to pretty much let you know your batteries are dead. Okay then, let me go find something else then. Alright, I accept defeat. I can't find any fucking batteries. Oh well. If anybody wants to hear what it sounds like, either go look at a review of it or go look at my own video of me, you know, showing off all my Super Sentai morphers. So, the Gertlinger. This is used by the Core 5 Zenkaigers to all transform into, you know, their respective Zenkaiger. I only have 2 gears, which is the gimmick, or which are the gimmicks of this season. They're called gears. Because it is an anniversary season. I think it's the 45th Sentai. It's like 35th. That's Gokaiger. But the 45th. God, dude, 35th. What the fuck? As of course seen by Zenkaiser, which is the main, or just the leader, and we have Zenkai Juron, my personal favorite out of these 2. Juron is my favorite, but in terms of, yeah, it's either him or whatever the Blue Ranger's name is. I forgot. I still want his gear. And I remember I got this in like early 2023, I think. Either that or it was mid 2023. It was like 52 bucks on Amazon. Why not? So I got it brand new. Like it's funny because like the original box had like this McDonald's Happy Meal or McDonald's like Mickey D's kind of meal box to it. It was kind of funny. That's what the packaging was like. So with batteries in this, you would of course put the gear in here and you would wind it until it got to the thing. Back then I would do it fast like this, like that, but I want to do it like how in the show, which they do it slow and then wait until they get the sound. And there's no release thing for this either. You just kind of just wiggle it out or take it out yourself. This is what Zenkaiser's thing looks like in there. Really cool. Do that. And yeah, you have like a couple things you can do with this. And there's plenty of gears for this. It's the equivalent to the whole Ranger Keys thing. Where they, where you could like, where there's a whole bunch of gears where it's like, I don't know, one disc has like Jew Ranger on it, or one disc has like Hurricaneer on it, and you can transform into whichever one you want. It's really similar to Gokaiger, which is why Zenkaiger is like a really good season. I've watched like 4 or 5 episodes of Zenkaiger. Pretty good season so far. And this was released back in 2021, so this season's only about 5 years old now, right? No, 4 years old now. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, sound effects are saying are really cool. It's just I can't find any fucking batteries at work. So we're gonna set all of those to the side. I also forgot to set everything over here to the side, so that way I can do this. So, like, just set everything to the side, like that. There we go. So, I'm gonna just show this off over here. Don't mind those shorts. This is all my guns right here. So, yeah, that's one cool thing. And one other thing, and I'll set my camera back a little bit, there we go. One thing that I really do want to do before I end this video is kind of like do a little test or something for both the Gabble Volver and for the Zenkaiger, for the Servite Buster. I want to do a little thing for these two. I really like that. You see this? It's a Servite Buster. Also transforms into a sword. And this is a Gabble Volver. So with that pretty much ends my little video. I really wish I had a lot more guns than what I have now, but these are the guns that I have, and as I said, I do plan on getting more, but of course that collection is going to take some time to do its thing. So other than that, I hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you did, I don't know, comment or something, like if you want. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.